Okay, guys, so let's get started. Without further ado, I think the others would be joining shortly. And before we do so, a quick formal introduction on my end. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'll be your cybersecurity trainer for this entire duration of the course. I've been training students for the last 5 years, and I've been working in this domain for the last six, almost 7 years now. Okay. And again, I am currently working as a senior penetration tester in an organization called Symbiosis in Vishakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. And this course here, CEH, Certified Ethical Hacking V13, is one of the best courses available in the world to learn or get into the domain of cybersecurity. It is provided by an organization called EC Council, a globally recognized organization based in California, and will be following the same exact curriculum and the same modules and the structure of the same training program. Once this course is done, you can also again start attempting the certification exam as well with the same name, Certified Ethical Hacking. Now, a bit more in depth on the demo. Now, on this course, Certified Ethical Hacking, as mentioned, this is for people who specifically have, again, keen interest in joining the cybersecurity domain, because this explains everything from the very basics up to the intermediate level. Okay, you'll be learning how to perform penetration testing or security checks on every single endpoint in an organization. Okay. Now, when we talk about this course, a lot of students have a misconception that hacking and ethical hacking are one and the same. So we'll start the demo today with the clarification on how they are completely different terminologies. So when we talk about hacking here, this is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. What I mean by that phrase, gaining access to information systems, is if I were a hacker, let's say if I've hacked your computer or if I've hacked a web application server or a database, it means I've complete remote control of that device. I can steal the data from that device. I can destroy the data or modify the data on that device, or I can sell that data to others without the knowledge or without the permission, I would say, of the company or the person owning that data. Okay, so I've taken the example of a computer, but this can be replicated on any sort of endpoint, as small as a mobile phone to as big as again a database or a cloud environment itself. Okay, and this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit. Once they've gotten access to that device, they can steal the data, destroy the data, or sell that data for financial gains. And sometimes hackers are so mischievous they can even do it just for fun, just for the thrill of it. Now, if hacking sounds such a malicious activity, if it is such an illegal task, why do we have a course called ethical hacking? How is this getting ethical in the first place? To define ethical hacking, on the other hand, this is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. So this terminology called vulnerability is something that will keep coming across a lot. So in our upcoming sessions, again, we'll be hearing this terminology or vulnerability a lot, because this is what we try to find. We are basically looking for vulnerabilities or loopholes in the information systems. So these weaknesses or these loopholes, which are called as vulnerabilities, are what allows, again, cyber criminals to get access to the devices. So your job as an ethical hacker is to find these vulnerabilities and report it back to the company so that they know what flaws exist in their security systems and they can remediate that. Once those loopholes have been patched up, once there's no more flaws that can be exploited, hackers have no other pathways. So you're closing all the doorways or the paths for the hackers to attack those systems. Okay. So as an ethical hacker, you're finding the vulnerabilities with the permission and with the again content, the consent and the knowledge of the organization, and you're reporting it back so that the company can apply the necessary security updates. And once those updates are applied, you're preventing all sorts of cyber threats. Okay. Depending on these two definitions now, we can categorize the types of hackers as well. There's three main categories: someone known as a white hat hacker, a gray hat hacker, and a black hat hacker. Your black hat hackers are typical cyber criminals who perform hacking for their own benefit or for fun without asking for consent. So they're the bad guys, I would say. On the other end of the spectrum, we have white hat hackers. White hat hackers are ethical hackers or penetration testers who abide by the laws and policies of the company, and they work for securing the company's infrastructure, also commonly known as ethical hackers. Okay. And in between, there's a third mysterious category called gray hat hackers. Now, these are people who have qualities of both black hat as well as white hat hackers. Like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first. But once they do find the vulnerability, they report it back to the company. But there is a minor catch here. They don't do this for free, obviously. They do it in return for a bounty. A bounty is like a financial reward they expect in return for reporting that vulnerability rather than misusing it. So therefore, they're working both offensively and defensively at various times. Hence, they're called as grey hat hackers. They can also be commonly known as bug bounty hunters. This is one term again which is very commonly used for them. They hunt for bugs in return for a bounty. Therefore, they name bug bounty hunters. Now, no matter what category of a hacker you take here, whether it's black hat hackers, which are cyber criminals, or bug bounty hunters, or ethical hackers in organizations, all of them perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain professional manner. They follow a certain procedure for that. And that procedure is called as cyber kill chain. Some organizations also refer to it as the hacking cycle. It's one and the same. Okay. To define it, this is the procedure that is followed by hackers or cyber criminals to perform a successful cyber attack, which means when the procedure is properly followed with the exact same steps, the probability of the attack happening is very, very high. Okay. And the same knowledge of this procedure also allows cybersecurity professionals, basically the ethical hackers, to understand how these attacks are being performed, what is the technique of it, okay, what tactics are the attackers using, okay, what is the procedure that they're following. So that allows you to understand how to prevent the attacks as well and detect them in the earliest time possible. Okay. So to read out the definition, the procedure that hackers follow in order to perform a successful cyber attack is called the cyber kill chain. And the same knowledge allows cybersecurity professionals as well to understand how these attacks are being performed, to detect these attacks at the earliest time possible, and prevent them at every level in the organization. Okay. Now, according to the EC Council's modules, or the I would say the procedure, there are 5 steps involved in cyber kill chain. First step is called as information gathering. Second step is scanning. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is reporting or clearing traces. And now in our demo today, we're going to briefly go over what these 5 steps involved are. Okay. So any questions or doubts up to this point before we progress further? Avinash or Renuka?
Yes, so can you please briefly tell what is cyber kill chain? I didn't get actually.
No worries. Again, cyber kill chain is basically a combination of these 5 steps as procedures that are followed to perform a successful cyber attack. Okay. So again, and what ethical hackers, what cyber professionals can understand from that is how to replicate these same techniques as a hacker and find the vulnerabilities in an organization. So the procedure to attack an organization by following these 5 steps is called as cyber kill chain. Okay. That also allows ethical hackers to understand, okay, this is the logic or the technique of the attack, and this is how you can prevent it as well. Okay. The procedure to perform the attack itself. Is that clear?
Oh,
Sorry,
okay, okay, thank you,
Avinash.
sir. Yeah, that means this is the process of gaining access to the system. So this process is used by the hackers, and the same procedure
Is done
ethical hackers also
by
follow to
exactly.
save the
So they're trying
organization.
perfect. They are trying to simulate the same procedure as if it's a real-time attack itself to for again to check for the vulnerabilities like hackers itself, and they are replicating all the same steps except for them harming any of the systems. So they're performing the step again. They're checking what vulnerabilities can hackers find, what are the techniques that they are using, so that you can replicate the same procedures, find the vulnerabilities first, and remediate them. So that even if a hacker tries it out later, it doesn't work for them because the patch is already applied for that vulnerability. Okay. Is that clear? Avinash?
Yeah, understood, understood. Thank you, sir.
Right. Perfect. Moving on. So first step here is called as information gathering. Now, this is also commonly known as reconnaissance or footprinting. These are the other names given to the same procedure. And the objective here is to gather as much information as possible about the target organization. So here, basically, the attacker tries to research as much information as possible about the target organization. And all of this data is obtained passively. What I mean by passively is you do not contact the organization in any way. You try to obtain information about your target from the internet itself. So there are various websites available on the internet which can give you a lot of crucial sensitive information. So we'll basically learn what those websites are and how do you try to obtain that information. Okay. But the main question is, what kind of information are you looking for here? And this here is the information as follows. You need the IP addresses, the who's records, the DNS records, domains and subdomains of the organization, operating system information, employee details, contact numbers, email addresses of the employees, and usernames and passwords as well, which might have been leaked online in various data breaches. Now, believe it or not, all of this information is readily available on the internet. The only thing is you need to know what those websites are from where you can obtain this data. Okay. So again, I know some of these pieces of information might sound a bit gibberish today, but don't worry. As we progress with our classes, I'll explain what each of these pieces of information is and how do you obtain that data as well. Okay. Now, once all of this data has been obtained, it is utilized in the next phase, which is called as scanning. So this is again also commonly known as enumeration. And here we try to get some active information. So earlier we got the data passively. Here we make direct contact with the organization. We connect on their IP addresses, on their domains, on their contact information, email addresses or phone numbers, and try to retrieve some extra data. To understand what that data is, we can break down scanning in three parts. There's something called as network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, you figure out in their internal organization what kind of devices exist. Do they have any Windows based machines? Do they have any Linux based machines? What kind of servers are they using? Do they have web servers, FTP servers, mail servers, and DNS servers? Do they have any firewalls in the organization? What kind of firewalls are there? Okay. Are there any perimeter based firewalls? Are there any in network or intranet firewalls? Okay. Or are there any other security measures, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems? So getting to know their internal network topology is network scanning. Once you know what devices exist in their organization, on those devices you figure out what ports are open and what applications are running. Okay. So to figure out what ports are open and applications are running, we perform port scanning for that. And once you know what ports are open and applications are running, finally you check for vulnerabilities on them. If any of those applications or services contain a vulnerability on them. During this module, we'll be working on two very important tools. One is called Tenable Nessus, which is for performing the vulnerability scan, and the other one is called NMAP for performing network and port scanning. Same kind of tools which are used in organizations as well to perform these operations. Will practically work hands-on on these tools. Once that is obtained, once all that information is obtained, finally you perform something called gaining access, the phase where the real hacking occurs. So here, with all the vulnerabilities found, attackers can basically perform gaining access on either a certain application or a certain device or a system or the entire network as well. So here, this is the core of the subject where we learn how to attack every single endpoint. Now, a lot of topics might sound a bit gibberish here, but don't worry. The main objective here is to attack every single endpoint. First, we talk about system security. How do you crack or bypass passwords for any operating system, Windows or Linux? How do you attack system with malwares? What are malicious applications or malicious softwares? What are viruses? What are worms? What are Trojans? How do you create these malwares? How do you defend your system from these malwares? What are some network-based attacks? Okay, what are attacks like sniffing attack, man in the middle attack, denial of service attack? How do you hack Wi-Fi routers, crack the password for Wi-Fi routers? Or like hackers do, how do you steal credentials of others by creating fake websites, okay, which are commonly known as phishing attacks? Okay. How do you hack web servers or how do you attack web applications on the front end? Vulnerabilities like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication. These are something which again very commonly exist in websites. We'll practically learn how to find every vulnerability that could exist on a website. Then we talk about evading techniques. How do you evade security measures in an organization? How do you bypass firewalls? How do you detect intrusion detection systems or prevention systems and bypass those? And what is vulnerability assessment? How do you assess vulnerabilities? Again, once you get a report from a tool like Tenable Nessus, how do you assess that vulnerability report, verify that report, or how do you attack mobile phones? So all of these are topics which we learn in the gaining access module, learning how to attack every single endpoint. We talk about system security, network security, wireless security, web server security, web application security, firewall security, and even mobile phone security. Every single device that could possibly exist in an organization, you as a penetration tester need to know how to safeguard every single endpoint. Once you have learned how to attack each system, then you learn how to maintain access on that system. So if I've attacked your phone or your computer, I should stay connected to it no matter what. Even if you restart your phone, I should still stay connected to it. So that is called as maintaining access or retaining the ownership of your device. Once I've gotten the complete, permanent, persistent access on your device, finally, we perform reporting or clearing traces. So as an ethical hacker or a penetration tester, we generate report for the organization, elaborating what vulnerabilities we found, how did we find them, how can they replicate the same procedure. So that's called a POC, proof of concept. We'll provide POC documents, okay, how they can replicate the same procedure and verify if these vulnerabilities are truly existing or not. Okay. And in the end, if they truly exist, what is the solution to remove those vulnerabilities and eradicate them? That's what we do as ethical hackers. On the other hand, if it's a cyber criminal, they won't report anything. They perform the attack, they steal the data, and they delete the logs of their actions. So they try to erase the evidence of their actions. So we'll be learning clearing traces as well. This entire course is going to run in two simple tracks where we learn one, how do you attack every single endpoint? And two, how do you defend every single endpoint? So this is also commonly known as red team testing and blue team testing. Okay, and we'll follow the same exact curriculum as mentioned by EC Council's CEH certification. So if you click on this website here, whatever modules are listed out here in this course called CEH version 13 will be working on the same exact modules which are shown here. So this is the course outline. Okay. First, we talk about, again, what we have learned today is introduction to hacking. We'll go a lot more in depth on that in the upcoming sessions. Then information gathering, scanning, enumeration, and the different gaining access attacks over here mentioned. And once this course is done, you can start applying for all of these different job roles. You can apply as a penetration tester, cybersecurity auditor, an IT security administrator, an ethical hacker, network security engineer, cybersecurity analyst, etc., etc. These are all the job roles that you can apply for, or you can also attempt the certification exam as well after this course is successfully done. Okay. So the course is for a duration of 35 days, where we have classes from Monday to Friday, every day for 1 hour each. And this was our first demo. And depending on the students who join tomorrow, if they're new students, we'll be taking the same demo again. If not, if it's the same student, so we'll start the next topic, which is networking fundamentals. So excuse me. So before we dive into all these advanced concepts, there's a few prerequisites to cover as well. Networking fundamentals, lab setup installation, Linux commands, all of those are included in the course. We'll be covering those prerequisites first, and then we'll dive into the other ethical hacking concepts. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further. Any questions or doubts up to this point? Avinash, Renuka, on your end.
Shoaib, passive was written in the gaining. What is actually passive? Can passive?
Passive. I think you're mentioning about information gathering. Passive
Yeah.
reconnaissance or passive sources is basically you not contacting the organization. So if we talk about information gathering, that is where we have the word passive, trying to gather
Yes.
as
Yes.
much information as possible passively, which means without contacting the organization directly, trying to retrieve information about them from third party sources. For example, if I want the DNS records for any company, I can go to this website called DNS Dumpster. Now, this is a third party resource. So it's if it's Wipro.com. And if I want to know what domains are available with Wipro on exactly what IP addresses, I can give the domain Wipro.com here. And these are all the domains of Wipro, domains and subdomains of Wipro with their exact IP address information. So this is me getting information passively. I'm not contacting Wipro here in any way. This is a completely different third-party organization called DNS Dumpster, which is retrieving us the DNS records. So this is us getting information without making any contact with the organization, which is meant as passively.
Oh,
Is that clear?
and yeah, I understood. And the other one is attack and defend. You said that
Right.
means this course is all about you make us to learn how to attack and how to defend. That is what you are
Exactly.
saying.
What are the
Okay.
actual cyber threats that occur in real time on any organization or any web application? And what are the remediation steps to take to prevent those again security flaws from happening? The attack and the remediations.
Okay. Thank you.
That is what we learn, how we perform as a pen tester as well. Learning constantly how to check for various vulnerabilities in the organization's endpoints and how do you remediate so that there's no vulnerabilities affecting the again data integrity of your organization.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Those tools you have shown us right now, this tool we will use in our classes also and in when we will work in companies also.
Same exact tools in Renuka. These are the same tools which I use in my organization as well. I've not listed out much of tools, but just to give you a brief list of them, we'll be working on this operating system called Kali Linux. Okay, this
Okay,
is the
but
operating.
some tools are bad. So whenever we are doing any phishing, like so at that time also we can use these tools.
Yeah, again, these are the same tools used by pen testers and cyber criminals likewise. So Kali, again, as mentioned, Burp Suit. You might have heard a lot of these tools actually. Just a
Yeah,
second.
Bob should give some things in unpaid, but some things in paid condition. So what
Right. So they are
for that?
again they're commercial applications as well and they're trial applications as well. So most of the tools over here which we use are almost open source itself, almost 80% of them. There are 20% of them which are commercial tools, tools like Tenable Nessus. Now this application is not free. It's quite expensive actually. So if you scroll down, you can see it's around 6,000, sorry, $7,500. Earlier it was
For
six,
a
but now
year, for a month.
yeah, for a year. Every year, it's $7,500 as a subscription. But don't worry, luckily there's a trial version. So whichever applications are commercial tools will either be working on the trial versions or the cracked versions of it. Okay, so you'll be having access to all the tools which again we use as penetration testers. It's a completely hands-on course. No just theory knowledge. This is all about you learning how to access these tools and how to run these tools efficiently in an organization. A cyber professional, a penetration tester needs to have hands-on knowledge on these tools. Just learning theory is again not going to be beneficial in any way. So we will be working on these tools hands-on, Renuka.
Okay, we will do full practicals in like complete practicals. Like for example, we are doing practical for the Bob soup. So
Right,
so all
definitely.
the options we can work in the this classes or only some options we can do.
Again, we'll be working mostly with the proxy option where we perform manual testing because, as mentioned, that is learning us again, we learning how to perform manual testing on a web application. So whatever
Like
vulnerabilities
intruders,
are there,
interceptor, this one.
no, we won't be working with that. We'll be working with the proxy tab. We'll be working with the intruder tab. Okay, and because to perform
This
automated scanning, not the interceptor. Because again, all of this is up to intermediate level. So when you talk about again, if that knowledge is required separately, we can get into that as well. But according to the syllabus of the course, it is limited up to the intruder tab. If there's any extra thing required, you can again students can definitely ask me. I'll explain those tabs as well. Okay. But again, as mentioned, as a penetration tester, we'll be working on, again, this is more of a network pen testing course. So all the tools required for network penetration testing will be covered. And for web application pen testing in the BurbSo tool, we'll be working with the proxy tab to perform manual assessments and intruder tab to perform automations.
okay. We can also test the secure websites also with the help of these tools or not.
Yeah, you can test any web page with the same tools.
We will
Again,
do in
actual
this
production.
sessions.
In the sessions, yes, some websites will be on real time, some practicals will be shown on real websites, and some will be on simulated environments.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Any other questions, guys? Okay, assuming no questions, we can exit the session here. And tomorrow, if it's the same students, we'll actually continue with the next class itself, networking fundamentals. If there's newer students, well, I'll have to retake the same demo, guys. So it depends
So,
on joining
uh,
tomorrow.
uh, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, Avinash. Okay.
Uh, the course name is Cybersecurity with Ethical Hacking. So, what
Right.
is actually the difference between cybersecurity and ethical hacking?
one is the domain and the other one is the operation that you're performing in that domain. Cybersecurity is the domain, just like how you have networking as a domain, there's cybersecurity as a domain. And ethical hacking is the operation, just like how you have routing and switching as an operation. Ethical hacking is you finding vulnerabilities and performing pen testing. One is operation and one is the domain. The operation that you perform in that domain.
Cybersecurity is operation and ethical hacking.
Cybersecurity is the domain. Ethical hacking is the task or the operation that you perform in cybersecurity.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions, Avinash?
No, sir.
Okay. Right. So again, as mentioned, just like how we have development as a domain or networking as a domain or management as a domain, cybersecurity is the domain which handles or which is basically related to the security of endpoints and data in these endpoints. And ethical hacking is the operation that you perform to keep these devices secure. Okay. Hacking ethically or finding vulnerabilities ethically to report them back and remediate them so that there's no cyber threats involved. So cybersecurity is the domain. Ethical hacking is the operation you perform to enable cybersecurity. Okay. So that's that. Nothing further for the session today, guys. We can exit the class here. We'll connect back tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye. Good day.